That vein, since it's a vein, it tends to be better suited for small vessels. Plastic, you get below a certain size of plastic and they just tend to clot.
So you're suggesting to make a small incision here, and then you would go and just bypass where the...
Right. Well, we'd have to make a modest size incision to be able to see where we're going.
Okay.
But I think that's the safest way to deal with it. I think we ought to have one of my general surgery colleagues prepared to resect bowel if we determine that needs to be done. But I think that's the safest way to deal with this. I had hoped, because this is so far down, I had hoped that it would be so far down that there would only be a small amount of bowel involved, and that you could potentially just put some coils in there and seal it and wait and see how you did, and hopefully the bowel would survive, from blood vessels around it. The problem is the blood supply to the intestines kind of comes off in branches, and then they kind of end. So if you get far enough out and you occlude that, there's not a way for flow to get around it. So you end up with a segment of the bowel that's not getting blood flow.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, it's not good, but if that's going to happen, we want to know about it so we can take that segment out and
Right.
put her back together without letting it get sick and die,
Right, sure.
and then have to do something urgently.
None of it sounds like a walk in the park.
I know.
It's not something. It's not something that you have to decide right now.
But how about this trip?
When's your trip? It was in January,
Yeah,
wasn't
that.
it? I think that's, you're going someplace pretty remote, weren't you?
Yeah.
I think that's ill-advised.
Okay.
And if you need me to send a letter to the airlines or the trip or whatever, saying that you're medically incapable of going, I'm happy to do that.
This is funny because I've had this aneurysm for over a year, and my first doctor didn't tell me about it.
Mm.
Well, you've just been having so much issue with your bowel and stuff.
Could be this the cause.
Tell me about your bowel problems.
Well, my stomach stretches. It started a year and a half ago, and I can't. Sometimes I can't eat much,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't throw up, but I can feel my stomach swell, stretch. So they tried all kinds of different stuff, like I forgot what they have. I'm just so nervous now.
You're fine. Well, they put you on most stool softeners, thinking it was just you weren't going to the bathroom,
Yes.
and then they're treating it as celiac disease.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I'm not sure what symptoms this would cause. The good news is we know about it, so that we can at least deal with it before it ruptures and bleeds. The problem is, typically we see a lot of people who have a blockage of the artery to the intestines. And as I said, you do have that one little narrowed area that probably needs to be dealt with.
At the same time?
It can be done at the same time.
It just seems ironic that the aneurysm is near your intestines, right? And and that's where you've had issues. So, you've changed your diet. You've done. She almost looks pregnant, and she never had a belly before.
Mm-hmm.
Literally one day, her stomach
I lost 15 pounds, and my
Right.
stomach hasn't gone down.
just feels bloated all the time, really bloated, and she looks bloated, but
So the area that